Last Saturday, we launched the recording Dances and Dreams at the Vancouver Public Library. It's a CBC production in conjunction with the libraries of British Columbia because it's going to be going in the Books for BC Babies packages that are handed out to every baby born in the province. And Dances and Dreams is a collection of music, lullabies, and other songs for children collected from around the world and performed by BC musicians. Well, as part of the whole launch of the day, we decided to celebrate, of course, literature, books for children, and had a chance to speak to a number of children's authors, 3 being that number. We heard from Richard Van Camp yesterday, and today we're going to hear from Sean Elmore and Chris Mazzoni. They're both animators at Studio B in Vancouver, and both, well, Chris with his first book and Sean with his third book, are also children's authors as well. First, we're going to hear from Sean Elmore. He's a character designer at Studio B in Vancouver. This is his third book. He's written 2 other picture books, Always Run Up the Stairs, and a book called Veggies Smidgies. His latest book is Yellow Blues, and it's published by Raincoast Books. And I asked Sean, as we began our conversation at the library, if he'd always thought of being a writer.
Not at all. It's always been designing and creating characters. I actually originally wanted to be an animator, and then when I got into the industry, I kind of found my specialty in design, and writing came up just with this actually, because it was actually just started as a little rhyme, which didn't end up in the book, surprisingly enough. I didn't use it for the first book, but it was just a little rhyme that I wrote to go with a few images.
For this book here, for Yellow Blues?
For Always Run Up the Stairs.
Oh, for Always Run Up the Stairs.
For the first book.
Right. And that's what grew into a book. Surprised to find yourself writing then? I
am. It's funny. I've even told my editor and everyone I know pretty much. I still don't quite consider myself as a writer. I'm always I shouldn't say an artist because writing's an art too, but as an illustrator or a designer first. So the writing is it's a bonus that I'm kind of getting the hang of it now.
But it was interesting because the verse came first with the first book anyway, instead of an idea or an image.
Yeah, it's strange because I tend to think, when I think of stories or just happenings when I was a kid, sometimes I tend to think in rhyme for some reason. That's how it came about.
Now, you've worked with young people, with children too, as a recreational planner. How have they inspired you? How has that work inspired you?
There's nothing better than working with kids, just because they're more grounded than anyone else in the world. They speak what's on their minds, whatever it might be, whether it's a color they saw in the sky or a puddle they splashed the other day, or they speak so randomly and just whatever comes to their head, and they're just so true to themselves, and they're honest until they get a little bit older.
Yeah.
They start telling other things, but yeah, I just always like working with them just because they speak so freely and think so freely. Where
did this book begin, the new book, Yellow Blues?
It was actually a gift for someone who's very close to me. It was actually a lot shorter than it is, just a small picture book for them and write a story to go along with it. And I just started doing the illustrations and writing a few of the rhymes, and it developed into a little book. So I actually didn't think about turning it into a book or submitting it at all until a few months later.
How do you go about the process, or I guess how hard is it to decide what your characters are going to look like? It's one thing, to find the voice, and then you've also got to find the image as well.
That's the first thing. Being a character designer, it's the same thing in the studio. So I had the initial idea, and what I did was I started designing the character slowly, like developing the character slowly as I was doing the rhyme, but just that character and not any of the other images. Just slowly, and eventually I came up with a look that I liked, and that was true to the person who it's based on. And
it's a very stylized animation that you've used here too, I would say.
Yeah, I've kind of developed my style over the years. It's for people who know cartoons, as everybody should know cartoons. It's a little bit of Warner Brothers and older Warner Brothers cartoons, so back in the 50s and 60s, Bugs Bunny and Hanna-Barbera, even UPA, for those who know UPA.
Can you read a little bit from Yellow Blues?
I thought you were asking me if I could actually read. I can.
This is a quiz.
Yeah, I can read a little bit of.
And more specifically, yes, can you read from this book?
Yes, I can. The book is about Jane. She wants this pair of yellow rain boots, or Wellingtons, galoshes, what you want to call them. And so it's just about her trying to convince her parents that they're the best things in the world, and she gets these, she's not going to ask for anything else. I'm still trying to convince my mom of things like that. A little bit back and forth between her and her parents, and trying to convince her parents that she has to have these boots. So I'll...
Were there ever such a pair of boots in your life, Sean?
Sneakers. Lots and lots of sneakers. Which when I was old enough to start buying them myself, I got into a bit of a habit of buying. That's a whole other story, though. Yeah. All right. Strangely, one day, my dad came to say, "I think you might need some new boots." I said, "Start the van. Though I'm no Superman, I've mapped out some lightning-quick routes." We were off to the races to shop at the places I'd spotted the boots once before. But I'll be doggone, the yellow boots were all gone. But we still had to check out one store. To no avail, the sign read "No sale." I stared through the window, eyes glued. Mom and Dad said they're there, and I didn't care that we went home with 2 boots blue. It's raining again, and it turns out, in the end, that yellow blues do make green. 'Cause green's the color I see when everyone but me has what I want, it would seem. It was back to school, the big test of cool. My dad said, "Try to relax." That was easy to say, but on that first day, I knew I would have to face facts. I arrived at school, blue-booted, uncool, from the moment I stepped on the scene, when not one, but all of the kids in the hall began to turn 3 shades of green. Could this possibly be? Were they jealous of me? I paused for a moment to think. Then I turned, standing tall, stating once and for all, blue is now the new pink. Now blue's all the rage. The new pink is front page, and my boots are all over the news. It might all go away, but it's all good today, so farewell for now, yellow blues.
That is Sean L. Moore reading from his book Yellow Blues. That's published by Raincoast Books. That was recorded at the Vancouver Public Library at our launch of the CD Dances and